believe we're live. So, hello everybody. Welcome to Girls Run These Worlds, now award winning. So, let's celebrate that
Mhm.
with all the wonder that it is. My name is Natalie. I use she, they pronouns. I'm your dungeon mistress for today's game. We are playing a very humble Glowtide, which is a custom made adventure written by moi in the setting of Humblewood by Hit Point Press. Um, it is a D&D 5e based system and campaign, and it's all festive themed in a three-part special. So let's bring it on over to our wonderful, delightful cast that we have with us today. We will start with Loira. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi. You can call me Loira. I use she, they pronouns, and you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and sort of Instagram at ms_Winford. I write tabletop reviews and sometimes share character stories over on my website, The Cozy Cauldron, which you can find at thecozycauldron.wordpress.com. And for a very humble Glowtide, which is my first game with Girls Runs These Worlds, which I'm very excited about. I'll be playing Wisteria, who uses she, her pronouns, and she is a celestial warlock. And so very excited to get into this with all the wonderful people here. Yeah.
Yay, thank you. Anita.
Oh, that's me. Hey, everybody, Anita here. Oh gosh, my name is Anita. I use she, her pronouns, and I do a lot of stuff on this channel. If you're feeling froggy, you can catch me in 6 hours from now, where I will be GMing Invincible Sword Coven, a super cool, sort of like powered by the apocalypse inspired sort of game written by the inimitable Kazumi Chen. um I got a great cast. We're getting vengeance on the people that killed our elder witch mother. It's going great. You can find me a lot of places on Girls from These Worlds. Like, pretty soon, I believe we are going to be airing our finale to the Claws of Cosvena arc. We took like a little break after like we were done like streaming our things on Twitch, and now we're going to present it to the YouTubes and on a YouTube premiere. So if you want to find out what happens to my Yuan-Ti druid and her huge snake like traveling companion, uh check it out. um the Girls from These Worlds YouTube page. I do a lot of stuff. I will probably post about it on my Twitter. You can find it at Anita the Lesbian. That is Anita lesbian on Twitter, and I make memes on TikTok sometimes with the same name. So hit me up there, and I will pass it back to our beautiful, wonderful, festive DM.
All right, beautiful, Anita. Thank you so much. And last but definitely not least, Nev, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm the Never Squid. I'm at the Never Squid on all the social medias, and I do mean all of them. I am an artist and VTuber and your friendly neighborhood squid person who's totally not related to the Elder Gods, I promise. I am also a producer here on Girls Run These Worlds, as well as a player in this game. And I will also be on a winter one shot on the 18th, which will be really fun. Yeah.
All right. Super delightful, wonderful. Of course, for everyone watching today, if you're new to the channel, make sure you drop a follow and especially a subscribe, as that helps all of our storytellers and creatives that we have at Girls Funsies Worlds. We have a beautiful community that's always trying to support each other in all that we do and bring in more faces and more people into this wonderful space we've created. So remember to drop the follows everywhere, the subscribe, support the Ko-Fis, all the stuffs. But now I think we can start our story. So, for my wonderful bird and humble folk, winter has come to Humblewood. A nice fresh blanket of snow covers the realm, where only peaks of green from the evergreen trees are plopping up from it. Um, but from that landscape, one tree stands above the rest, an ever tree that breaks the canopy and reaches up into the skies. This tree houses the great city of Eldahart, a very olden, near ancient place um, that's built a metropolis from root to canopy. And it is here where some of the biggest celebrations of Glowtide happens. And during Glowtide, there is just a lot of warmth and light that we experience here. And for some, this may be the first time you've ever seen the city and ever experienced its great wonders that come with such celebrations. Every storefront has their own unique displays of lanterns, from candles to magic motes of light, some even utilizing glowing slimes and bioluminescence. Folks get very creative and go all out in celebrating. Um, String lights of lanterns hang across alleyways and the streets. Very warm, very colorful, but nothing less to be expected. And of course, the smell of food just wafts everywhere as folks of all walks of life love to share their traditions and their foods and make sure everyone is safe and warm and happy during this season. As we come into the space, we will first land with our dear sister Primrose. Uh, would you please describe yourself?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I am Sister Primrose. Uh, I'm a little Gerbine priestess. Um, I love life, and I make my very best effort to make sure everyone's lives are wonderful. I've lived here my whole life, and I just want everyone to be happy, honestly. And right now we're about to do a cheese wheel rolling competition, I think.
Yes. So at this moment, Sister Primrose, you are at the top of what they call the Golden Stairs, which is an ancient path of road that existed in Elderheart since its founding. And it's called the Golden Stairs for all the light that dapples in through the holes in the trunk that come down upon it. And the Gerbine have brought their cheese wheel tradition to Elderheart here, into the great running of the cheeses that go all the way down the street from where they make their wheels to where they love to serve and prepare the cheese for the masses. Um, they allow anyone to participate to pick out the cheese they want, but I do believe you may have someone with you.
Um, yes, I realized I forgot to describe what I looked like.
All right.
So, Sister Primrose is a hazel dormouse, which please Google it if you want your heart to melt because they are the absolute most adorable little creatures in the world. And she's wearing little white robes with a big pair of antlers on the front. And yeah, she's with Wisteria.
Right. So, Area, as a fellow Eldahart citizen who's been here for most of your life, you are familiar with the Cheese Wheel Run. We have come
Mhm.
to celebrate this tradition with Sister Primrose. Would you care to take a moment to describe yourself?
Yeah. So standing at about 2'6", Wisteria is a luma who closely resembles a blue racing pigeon, which is not as cute as Sister Primrose, but is still very cute, and you should look them up. She has iridescent feathers on her neck, chest, and back, which she just loves to admire in the warm light of Glowtide. And she's wearing a comfortably fitting dark green robe with yellow embroidery along the bottom. And the embroidery is in the shape of a uh, glowing sun with two golden feathers, which is the symbol of Ardea, who is the celestial entity with whom she has her bargain with. And she's absolutely delighted to be here with Sister Primrose for their annual tradition of cheese running, where this time she is determined not to wind up head over tail feathers.
And that is quite the goal, as you two are now standing at the finish line and have found yourselves with a cheese wheel that nearly dwarfs dear Sister Primrose. It is giant and covered in a red wax, and you yourself only being maybe a foot or two taller than Primrose. You're just able to peek over and look at her. But you two are standing there with this giant cheese wheel. Other folks all around, mostly Gerbeam, but there is a mix of Mopotch, Gallus, and Strig are also present at the line. A lot of young kids too, so they're also similarly, if they weren't given a little cheese, they wanted to pick out the biggest cheese they could possibly find. Because who does not want to be the big cheese? Um, but a older Jabin gentleman is standing up at the edge of the line, making the announcement about the run. He goes over a little bit of history, saying, uh, "We have a great selection of cheese today that we're just going to run down the golden stairs, as per the traditions that us Jabin have brought to the city of Eldahart." And as he drones on a little bit, gets a little off track, but eventually some of the crowd does bring him out through the cheering and stuff, everyone getting antsy to go. One kid next to you who has his own big little cheese wheel turns to you, Sister Primrose. He's like, do you think we're able to run on the cheeses? Does it help if we actually run on the cheeses? Because it's the run of the cheeses, right? Do we run on them?
Oh no, no, we don't run on them. We run next to them and make sure they don't, go off course or hit anyone.
Oh. And he looks at the cheese wheel next to you and then looks at the one next to them. He's like, okay, good luck, sister. Don't get run over.
I'll do my very best. Thank you.
And then he's given his little stick that they give to everyone to help guide the little cheeses around. But you two stand ready as the announcer now starts to mark down 3, 2, 1. And then we go to another folk in our party. Billie Jean, would you like to take a moment to describe yourself?
Uh, yeah. Um, Billie Jean, is a, uh, is it Caravan? Is it Caravan? She's a goat lady. Um, she has like these very large glasses. Like I am imagining like the goat from Hoodwinked, but like without the horns. Um, like that sort of like cartoonish energy, like is what she's bringing. I believe at this point she has probably climbed up to the top of one of like the buildings around town to try and like get a better view of just like the cheese wheel rolling competition. She's never heard of this tradition before. Um, but like looking down, she thinks that, oh wow, she's never seen such big cheese before. Uh, and probably like noticing her like I would say at this point like friends. These are people that she knows in town. Like uh down there about to compete with cheese that dwarfs them. She'll probably be like cheering them on from afar as she like begins knitting like some begins knitting something to like put to like attach to a pair of very fuzzy slippers. Um they're like they're way too small for her. They wouldn't fit her. Like she has hooves, like these are obviously not made for hooves. But like uh yeah, she's on top, like very gray gray fur, like a very long like beard. Um, and yeah, like that's that's Billy. Very big glasses. They make her eyes look incredibly large, like behind them. And she is rooting for her acquaintances in the church, um, even though she doesn't know what the competition is and how to win. Um, so she's on top of a building, probably like leaning up against a chimney, and just watching.
Beautiful. So while you are up there, um, there's just lights that almost surround you and the glow envelop you, and all the different colors sheen off your glasses. Um, and it doesn't really obstruct your vision or hurt your eyes, but it does make for a very beautiful rainbow of light about you. And as you watch over the edge of the rooftop, you hear the countdown and the pop of a little toy gun, and you see the races running off. I would love for Wisteria and Sister Primrose to give me a dexterity check.
It's over a 10. I'll take it.
Awesome.
It's 13 total.
Okay, so for you, Wisteria, as the line starts, this isn't a hard thing to push over the line, as then it's the momentum of keeping the cheese wheel going and on the level. So for this opening part, the cheese wheel starts to roll and you push it with your might to get it going. Um, but very quickly, it starts to go faster and faster, and you're keeping up. Sister Primrose is there with you, keeping pace alongside you with a 14. Um, and with the wheels going, other children about you, I'll do some rolls to see how they do. So let's see. The child that was talking with you rolled actually pretty well. So he manages to give a good solid push of his cheese wheel. And with all of his exuberant energy of a kid, he starts dashing down and just manages to get a little bit ahead of you too. But now with the start, the crowd is cheering all around. Everyone is laughing. Some of the people do struggle a little bit. Their cheese on immediate entry swerve off to the side and go into the crowd, and they just kind of pick it up and try and get it back in there. Um, but halfway down the stairs, there is some obstacles, because what would be the fun without any obstacles? Um, so there is some little piles of snow that has built up to be speed bumps for you. Uh, so as you approach this section, we could do another dexterity roll, or if you have a different method you would like to utilize, feel free to describe.
I don't have any difference with acrobatics or athletics or anything, so
So
doesn't
if
really
you would
matter.
like to create a bonfire on the speed bump.
Well, you can certainly try to melt the speed bump before you get there, for sure. That's a way to do it.
It's an option. Is it a good option? We'll find out. Are you okay with that, Sister Primrose?
I mean, it's a little bit cheaty, but go ahead and try it.
Okay, full of exuberance and excitement and wanting to share the light and warmth of the season, Wisteria is going to call out, I've got this, sister. I know what I can do. And she's going to cast Create Bonfire on the snow pile.
Okay. So, in a spark of light, and how would you describe as the fire kind of burns up in the space that you picked out before you?
I think it's going to kind of mimic the colors of those first rays of sunrise as they're peeking up like from behind the horizon. So it's just like this little golden flash that starts small and then kind of shifts peek through. I'm like, I don't know words. Through the pile of snow as it melts around it.
All right. So this flash of gold, warm light sparks out and almost trickles in a sort of firelight pattern as the snow
Mm.
almost flash melts from the spot where you aimed for your cheese wheel to go. And very much now making it super easy for the two of you. You managed to guide your cheese wheel forward. But now, as you make it past the cheese bump, you see others, not cheese bump, snow bump, you see others, their cheese wheels hit a bump and go flying off. Um, Jean, from your vantage point, you just see one of the smaller wheels hit a bump in an awkward angle and starts flying in your direction.
I dodge.
All right. Give me a dexterity saving throw.
Oh boy. Wow. All the way up here, huh? On the top of the roof. I love it. Um,
Yes.
gosh, do I have a feature for dexterity saving throws that I can see? Um, I I think that barbarians have like oh, something's coming. I can roll dex saves at advantage.
Yes, your danger sense. You sense the dangers of a very Gouda cheese about to hit you in the face.
I'm I'm not about to have a good a time, so I'll get out of the way. Um, saving throw advantage. Eh?
Okay.
um,
Not a difficult check to break. You do see it, and it is, you're able to anticipate the timing of it. So as it comes, describe how you wish to dodge this cheese wheel.
um, yeah, I think that like she's just knitting with the fuzzy slippers, and then like at the last possible second, like a sort of shadow flickers over the lights, like in the in her glasses, and she last second notices, just like ducks down, cheese flies past, and then like goes back up. um, but yeah, it's um, she notes that this game is for a silly game with children and cheese. This seems a very intense game. Gosh, that cheese must have been going so fast down the
Oh,
hill.
yes.
Um, she probably like puts this knitting away and sort of like pays a little closer attention from there on.
Yes, from now taking a better observation, the Gerbine of this group are very competitive and going very fast. Some of them taking long leaps as they're bound to do. But you do hear just the cheese thud against the trunk bark that lines the backing of the corridors through the trunk of the tree. And it kind of just thumps down and rolls along the side of you before taking rest. But now you have a snack beside you, so bonus.
Yeah, ground cheese. She'll pick it up and like somebody might want this back, or maybe I'll need it. She'll put it in her bag.
That's fair. Now for
Yeah,
Sister
and it's
Primrose.
like it's a pretty big. Oh no, you said this was a small cheese.
It was a
Never
smaller
mind.
one. Yep.
Okay.
It'd definitely be small to you. um, but now for Sister Primrose and Wisteria, you enter another leg of the race that now goes super steep down the stairs. Um, it's to the point where if you don't keep up with the cheese wheel, it could completely weave off course or um, just run into something else, or you just won't be able to keep up with it. So you can either roll athletics or acrobatics in order to keep up with the cheese and steer it, or if you have another idea of any of your own, feel free.
Um, uh, Primrose will sort of mumble something to herself, and her eyes will light up white, and I believe I can bless more than one person at once, so I will cast bless on both of us to help us a little bit with the next leg of the journey, which means you get to add a d4 to your ability checks.
Um, that's incredible. We are going to win this. I'm just gonna roll my acrobatics check, and then add the 1d4. That yeah.
That is solid. So a 22. So Wisteria, you feel that well, I guess I should let Sister Primrose just say this. How does your bless feel when you bless other people with it?
So, uh, Primrose, being a Gerbine who has done this tradition every year for years, is one of the ones who she's competitive, yes, but she doesn't want either of us to get hurt. So it's essentially a feeling of warmth and love and the joy of being alive as a tiny creature that could easily die sort of washes over you.
Beautiful. And with a 22 and a 19, easily, that joy and excitement rushes the adrenaline in you, and you just start keeping pace with your cheese wheel. And for a moment, you think maybe you're starting to lose it, but no, your excitement keeps you at pace, and you're just almost floating down the steep step of the golden stairs at this point. Um, and as you just start to go down, you see the finish line coming up, which comes into this square that has a old uh like fountain with different humble wood and folk, both a bird and humble folk, all standing around. It is covered in like tinsel and lights. um Let me see how your nearest competitor does to keep up with you. You hear from behind you a little gerbean boy go, "No, no, 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 no," as you see his cheese wheel start veering off ahead of you before it hits a little rocky bump and darts off and goes off into an alleyway. Um, and you just see the thumping, and though the boy is upset, he isn't necessarily crying. He's kind of laughing about the whole situation as when it goes off into the alleyway, he just sees the flying hands of other humble folk and bird folk wanting to try and catch the cheese or just completely dive bomb out of the way, not wanting to be hit by it. Um, but you're now in the last stretch of it. There is some more speed bumps along the path. Um, just before you start heading into that finish line. So Wisteria, I who knows if another crate bonfire may work for this time, but you are feeling very blessed. So for between the two of you, how do you want to approach this last little speed bump in the leg?
I think with that feeling of the wind almost literally underneath her wings and that floating that's coming with it, Wisteria is going to go with that feeling. This is good and no one's going to get hurt. And if something does go wrong with her spell, it's near the end and they're going really fast and she's not sure she can cast that quickly. So she's just going to try and guide it towards the finish line and hopefully around the most evident bumps.
Okay. So I will need either a dex, we'll see, either athletics or acrobatics again, depending on what how you feel is best suited for this floating feeling that you're starting to get, trying to guide the cheese wheel over
Mhm.
this last obstacle.
I'm going to go for athletics because I feel like it's probably harder to move this thing now that there's this extra little flying element to it. Okay.
Okay, 13. So you feel that rush as you're coming off from the deep slope, almost lifting you forward. Um, from up on the rooftop, Billie Jean. Your friends are at quite a distance at this point now, having gone down the steepest part of the slope. And you're witnessing from behind the shenanigans that are going on behind your friends as they start to take a full lead. Um, and you observe cheese wheels still running off the edge, people laughing, people falling down. Um, and you do catch your friends. They do slow down a little bit at the speed bump, but let me see if anyone is able to match them. So they do have a bit of a slowdown. You see as their own cheese wheel bumps along, they push it forward and make it across the finish line. You see just the wave of hands going up in the air.
Um, yeah, I think Billie Jean is like, oh, this is it is over now. They have won. Great. I think she'll like put the things away. And yeah, she's been feeling very strange. Like there are a lot of trees around here. Normally you can see the sky, at least where she's from, and uh, it's it's just been a weird sort of time, like far away from the mountains. So I think she's going to try to like, okay, this is a celebratory thing. We we need to join in and jump into this. So she'll get off, climb down, and try to find and congratulate the flower folk on their victory.
Beautiful. So as you start to make your way down and relocate your friends, you just hear all the cheers coming from below. And for Sister Primrose and Mysteria, now winners of the cheese run, um, you get, of course, a lot of accolades for everybody congratulating you, patting you on the back, lifting up your cheese wheel, which amongst a group of smaller creatures, they're all trying to lift it up. And then one of the taller servant folk come over and just lift it up, easily pick up and show off the cheese wheel. Um, as winners of the race, you get to choose to keep your cheese wheel or donate it to one of the guild halls that they can turn into savory meals for the folk that are around as they are to do this time of year. But you get your choice of where you want it to go.
Sister Primrose would absolutely insist on donating it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Um, do we know offhand which guild halls are the most popular in the area, or?
There are adventuring guild halls, of course. There's a lot of crafting halls, which you two would know from any volunteer work you've done around. There's some that craft garments to give to humble folk that may be in need. There's also ones that craft toy goods or furnishings for folk for their homes. Um, there's also the Heart Museum that will do food service to help raise funds to maintain the museum and the history of the city.
I think that Wisteria would lean towards the museum or the clothes making guild hall, but would want to know Sister Primrose's opinion as well.
Um, the museum, I think. I think the museum would be what Primrose would want.
Okay, the museum then. Okay.
Yes, because preserving our history is very important.
Okay, so the cheese the group of folk that were running to the event pick up the cheese and take it off to the museum so that they may collectively start making meals. And it's so big that they can definitely feed the people that come by for days that are coming through Glowtide. But at this point, Billie Jean, you do catch this cheese wheel being marched off, and your friends, Sister Primrose and Wisteria, in the crowd, sort of aglow in all the light, having just won their celebration.
Sister Primrose, Wisteria, uh, you have defeated the children. Congratulations. Oh,
Wisteria has a moment in her face where she's like, "You're right. Yes, we defeated the children. That doesn't. Hmm.
I have a spare roll that
Hmm.
come and fly by my head. Uh, I do not know what is custom. Do others
Hmm.
hoist it overhead and carry off into the distance as well, or is this only for winter?
Um. First, are you? It didn't. It went over your head. It didn't hit you, did it? You're okay?
Oh no, I am fast and nimble, and I
Yes.
dodge.
Okay. That's
It's
true.
good.
That's very good.
Sister Primrose is still going to like sort of tug on you to bend down so she can check and make sure that you're okay.
Oh, um, oh gosh, yes. Definitely. Like, I feel like this isn't the first time that you've like tugged to like get attention. So like, oh, knows the drill and sort of like leans down, and it's a far lean down. How tall did you say that your turbine was?
Like under 5 feet.
Okay,
they're
okay,
they're
so it's
like
not a
they're
long
like
lean
what? They're
down.
like 3.5, 4 feet tall, something like that. They're
Okay,
Anywhere
very
to
small.
2 to 3.
So
yeah,
okay, she's on the small end of that. So she's like half. She's like less than half your size.
word. Like she's like 5'10", so it's not like a long lean down, but it's a considerable like gets lower. Uh, yes, you do not need to worry, Sister Primrose. I am okay.
You know, I
What?
always worry, Billie Jean.
Hmm,
It's my job.
uh, well, thank you, sister. What am I to do with runaway cheese?
You can keep it if you like. You got it.
Oh, okay. I shall keep cheese for cloudy day. Puts it in her bag, and like puts it over her shoulder. Uh, this is interesting festivity. I've never seen competition quite like this. Uh, are there any more uh, traditions that we observe in Alderheart? I rather enjoy lights. The cheese competition has confused me, but I am excited to see more.
Well, the cheeses. Um, it started at one of the big abbeys, I think, where they would make the cheese and store it in a big building for it to ripen, and then they had to get it down to the kitchen somehow. So they kind of turned it into a competition, and we kind of kept doing it because it's fun.
I see.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There's others too. I really like these story gatherings that happen every night around the big fires by Root Hall. Um, and they're just it's such a good way to learn not just about the history of Alderheart, but from where everyone else has come from, especially here in the roots. There's people here from all over, and it's a great way to learn all the different traditions from people from here, there, in between, everywhere.
I will look forward to this. At sundown,
And,
you say?
and then there's a big feast.
Oh, yes, the feast. Can't miss the feast.
Um, yeah, and she's like, okay, you look at her and you can easily tell that she is very like lost in the hustle and bustle of just like a very new place. But she sort of doesn't know like what to do or where to go next. You can tell that she wants to like be a part of the community since it seems like everybody's coming outside and doing something, but she doesn't know where to go, what to do.
Yes. Elderheart in itself, for the time that you have been here, even before Glowtide has started, has always been a metropolis of a city. But now, in the season, from root to canopy, it seems all the traditions of the wood are alive in the city. Um, you all very much are able to take your time going through the different markets, and each section has a very different feel. Um, Going through the roots where it's very much underground and a different sensation than the trunk or the canopy. It is this time of year definitely the warmest. Not seeing any snow down here, and it's very cozy. And though the folk here are more in humble surroundings, it is you do see very much more of a sharing of just being together and sharing what they have and um, just spending their time out in the spaces of the streets and alleyways. Even their simple markets, they do foods that are like roasted nuts and warm apple ciders. Going through the trunk markets, which you've all been doing this through the day, it's very colorful and bright with holes in the trunk, bringing in sunlight from the outdoors. And then up through the canopy, as you take the last bit for Wisteria and Sister Primrose, you know this is more of the high life area of Elderheart. But being one of the end capstones for a day, you know that's where the good food is. um, so you do have that chance to take advantage of what usually is kept behind the closed doors of the more aristocratic folk, but everyone takes part in this season and shares what they have. But as you wander around through your day trying to take in the different things, you do see a crowd of folk gathering up um, around this rather simple wooden wagon, and its mount that is heading it appears to look like a type of polar bear mastiff dog mix. It has very white, pure white fur and that hunching, lumbering silhouette of a polar bear, but it has sort of that mushed in nose and more of the floppy eared of the mastiff. But it is kind of just lumbering and laying down, paws crossed, as the little children are excitingly running around it. And from the back of the wagon, you hear sort of barking out to the crowd a Mawpatch. Um, he is wearing just kind of a makeshift like duster jacket. It looks like he just took different parts of other jackets and stitched it all together. So no sleeve or part of it seems to match in color or texture. And he has this big black top hat with different colored patches, and the top of it is just flopping up and down as he's barking out to the crowd. Um, and as he is doing, I'm going to show for our cast here what he looks like. Um, as he's barking out, uh, you see just some folk pulling what is beside him a very big, round, red sack with sort of gold embroidery and silken interior. Um, you can feel free to approach if you wish. As he calls out, "Two silver for a toy. Every pull a surprise."
Um, Wisteria will approach, like, oh, yes, of course. Billie Jean, if you If you, I can, you just have to. This is so much fun. Um, if you want to come with me, I'll give the 2 silver, and then you'll get to pull something from the bag.
Oh, um, very well. Another tradition. We
Yes.
pull gift from back?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Uh, I will do so. Um, yeah, she'll like take the 2 silver from Wisteria, like, and just walk over. Probably like most of the people like in this area of town are like small folk, right? So probably
Mm.
lumbering over like the person handing out the gifts, like all of the children like that are probably gathered around, and she just like heavy steps, and like a shadow forms over the person like handing out the gifts, and like they turn and are like, "Ooh," um, and she just like drops 2 silver into their hands.
All right. So yeah, even with them standing on the back of the wagon, you're still having an inch or two over them. You're like, oh, very good, thank you. And then he throws the silver in this little makeshift bucket he's had in his arm. And he says, feel free to put your hand in the bag and see what you can pull from it.
um, she will reach a hand in
All
and
right.
pull from the bag.
All right. I need you to roll a d6 for me.
Ooh boy. Uh, um, 6.
All right.
Ah,
So
big numbers mean
you,
good things in D&D, right?
yeah, yeah. So you put your hand right into the sack, and when you initially look in, it almost looks like a dark, empty space. But as you put your hand in, you feel something cold and metallic kind of just drop into your hand. As you pull it out, you open up your palm and you see this little bell ornament. And it has, it's silver and it has sweet little etchings of holly leaves and berries all along it. And when you ring it, it's a nice, cheerful little ring.
Um, yeah, I think she really I think bells are a new thing for her. Like they didn't really have like a lot of bells like back home, but like this is like a lot less intense than the bells she hears like here. It's like nice and high and tingly, and it's musical in a way. And she says, "Thank you for the bell. It is uh cute and nice."
And it's quite a lovely trinket you were able to pull from it. Congratulations! Yay! And he's
Uh,
immediately already looking amongst the crowd, spotting you, Wisteria, and Sister Primrose. It's like, come, 2 silver, pull something from the sack.
Oh, no, thank you. All my money goes to charity. Thank you, though.
Um, I think Billie Jean will take out 2 silver and give it to,
Oh,
and give it to Sister Primrose. Because this is the tradition as it has been is established to her. Like you give it to someone so they can pull. Like, oh, you don't have it. I give it to you, and then you pull.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Would you like me to attach the bell to your wrist or something?
Um, I do not know. Um, I will
Okay,
put it
well, I'll
away for
think about it.
now. Uh, it will come in handy soon, I am sure.
Okay. And Sister Primrose, who is probably one of the smallest people there aside from the children, will go up and pull something out of the bag.
All right. So you wander up and you do see that there is a little different box steps so the smaller folk are able to step up. Accessibility is important here in Elderheart. Um, so you manage to get on one of these boxes, you drop in your 2 silver, and you reach into the bag. If you could roll a d6 for me, please. So you put your hand in, and as you reach in, you feel something hard that falls into your hand. And as you pull it out, you see that this is a very solid coal statue of a little deer. It is, well, pretty well carved, very intricately, though simple, but it's still beautiful in its way. It's a nice, well polished coal, so you don't get any of the black, sooty marks on your hands, but it's a nice little trinket of a deer.
Oh, well, that's lovely. Thank you.
Ah, you're very welcome. That is an adorable little statue you got there. Um, Other friend, would you like to pull from the bag? And he shakes his little bucket of coin.
Wisteria's red eyes are just like bright and shining, and claps like her wings together a little bit. Oh, yes, yes. Did you like it, Billie Jean? Is that was this a good tradition?
Um,
Is it too soon to
I
ask?
like. I like.
Okay, okay, I'm glad. Um, and then all smiley beak is gonna go and give her 2 silver to pull something from the bag.
All right. D6, please.
Yeah. Hmm.
All right. So you reach your hand in, and as you do, you feel a light, kind of metallic feeling in your hand, and just a little tink. And as you pull your hand out, you see in your hand it is a tin toy of a hunter that is a raptor, so like a kind of hawk, eagle, bird folk, and they're just a little hunter, and they have their long bow and an arrow, each kind of against their chest and holding it. But they're a nice little sort of tin toy of this character, and it all colored brightly in reds and blues, and their feathers all intricately painted with the earth tones and the whites.
Um, Wisteria looks absolutely delighted, like, oh, this is beautiful. Um, Thank you so much. And she's gonna go to show it to her friends, and in the back of her mind is gonna be thinking about the children back down near Root Hall and being like, someone's really going to enjoy this.
Beautiful. So the Ma Potch tips his hat to you three and says, "Well, thank you so much for pulling from my bag. Hope you all enjoy your little trinkets and toys. If you send anyone else up my way, it's Jasper. I'm here for most of the day. Happy to serve the community." And he gives like a cheeky, toothy grin, takes a bow as more people come up and start giving coin.
Well, if you are genuine, you can always come down to the church and help with the soup kitchen. It's always open.
Yeah, I am very much a fan of the soup kitchen. I love going there. I'll even bring my bag and share it amongst everyone. I seem to just be overflowing with gifts today. It's a great day. Happy Glowtide.
Happy
Happy
glow
glue
tide.
time.
And as you three begin to walk away to continue your day, I believe our highest passive is Sister Primrose. As you walk away, you hear a very clear chime from the ground. And as you look down, you see this golden bell just very slowly rolling almost in a circle around your feet and just stops in front of you.
Oh, what's this? And she'll go to pick it up.
And you pick it up and you hear it chime. And when you listen to it, it is different from the bell that Billie Jean has pulled. Not just in that it is golden instead of silver. And upon its exterior, the etchings on it looks like a couple of running sort of like wildcats, like panther, like cougars or lynxes and mountain lions just running along the edge. But you ring it, it has a very clear, whimsical chime in it. But as you ring it, you notice no one else around you hears it.
Oh, oh, Billie Jean, Wisteria, can you hear this?
Oh, Bagman must have dropped one
Mm,
bale, though it does not seem to work.
yeah.
Uh, like maybe Bagman threw bad bale away.
I think it might be broken. I don't hear anything.
It's not. It's ringing. Oh, I guess maybe it's because I have bigger ears.
Maybe, maybe. It's very pretty.
Yeah, I, I don't know what it is, but I can hear it. It's very pretty. Perhaps I'll ask some of the older priests and priestesses if they know what this is.
All right. I still have at least your evening hours as night is starting to set within Humblewood, and now a cloud covers in the sky and light snow starts to drift down. And even as you go from canopy to roof, some of that still drifts in. Um, but for the most part, the celebrations continue on into the evening. Um, for this moment, you can choose to go to any place for a quick meal or drink, just to talk about your day, um, or return to wherever it is that you are staying as a group. You know, your friend Stick is somewhere off in the nether of the city, maybe tailing you, maybe doing their own thing. You do know they've been working on something. Um, and hopefully you can catch them later in the evening. But you all gather up everything that you've done in the day, thinking about all those traditions that you participated in, and find yourselves in a place seated in a beside a warm hearth. And yeah, so it is evening. You have your choice of drink or food or treat with you. And as you go, could I have a perception check from everyone?
I think as everyone's getting settled, Wisteria is just really cozying on into that robe. Like, yes, nice and warm. Good. Best part of the year.
All right, beautiful. So we'll start lowest to highest. Uh, Sister Primrose, you're a little distracted. I'll let you describe in the way that you feel you might be distracted at this moment. So you're not quite noticing anything outside of just being in the warm space of this kind of tavern cafe you've all settled into.
Um, I think she may or may not have just burned her tongue on some slightly too hot tea and is also trying to decipher the images on the golden bell that she seems to be the only one who can hear.
Mhm. Beautiful. But for Wisteria and Billie Jean, as you're both sitting, feeling the comfort of the space, you begin to notice that it seems to be dimming in light. And as you look around, you do notice the candles that are lit here are starting to sputter out one by one, and that the hearth fire is slowly crackling and hissing down to almost just a burning ember. And as you peek outside the windows, you do see in the streets that those hanging lights from either candlelight, magic moat, or glowing luminescent slime, they all start almost row by row, dissipating out. Just whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Oh, I know this tradition. Ah, ghost story time. Yes, I we have this in the mountains. I love this part. Uh, is has anyone prepared story?
I
She's
didn't know this tradition, so that's exciting to know that that's what it is because for a moment there, I was getting a little bit nervous.
Nervous
I'd
about
for
what?
Oh, and Wisteria gestures with a wing to all the sputtering lights in the tavern. I thought maybe it was just really late, but then and then gestures with the other wing outside where it's just going steadily darker and darker. But
Oh,
it's just it's a
oh,
new tradition.
it's not. That's not. That doesn't
Oh,
look good.
oh, this
oh,
is not normal. Um,
No, no.
hmm.
I'm pretty sure if there were gonna be ghost stories told, they would have said ahead of time they were going to do it. They wouldn't have
That
just
makes
started turning
sense.
out the lights. I think.
Oh,
um,
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, Billie Jean sort of like looks around. How are other people reacting in the space that we're in?
Yeah, so in this space, you three were the only ones that were sort of collecting up a meal and drink.
Mhm,
The person running the tavern cafe, they seem to be there, their arms folded, and this is a Alurin, which is a cat folk, and they have
mhm.
very sphinx-like features, long pointed ears, kind of the tan and black colorations on them, and they're wearing just the ugliest minty green sweater with just baubles of puffy tinsel all over it. But they're just kind of there, and it looks like they're completely passed out. Maybe they had an exciting day, maybe there's a massive rush before you three came in. But they are completely passed out. And as you are
Mhm.
looking around, you do hear the embers of the nearby hearth just sizzle completely out. And the space now dim to almost a near darkness if it wasn't for any of the bioluminescence of the slime lanterns that are around.
Hmm.
Going off those perceptions, Wisteria and Billie Jean, you do hear what sounds like rustling in the dark spaces of this tavern.
Oh, the lights dim in ghost stories. They do not go out. This is not ghost stories. Uh, she'll sort of like get up and sort of address the rumbling in the dark corners, uh, and say, hello, uh, happy tide glowings. Uh, will you come out and greet us? I am
Right.
Billie Jean.
So as you say those words, you hear some more rustling about you, and then you feel something sort of nudge against your leg. And as you look down to see what it is, you see this small creature. It seems to be made of some sort of black material. It has a mix of a rabbit wombat body, but very much a bunny head with long ears and two little horns. But it's a pure black creature, and it gives you a quick little nudge like it's searching around your feet for something.
Oh, hello. Um, our gremlins tradition. Small, monsters that cause trouble and steal
Hmm.
socks.
I think maybe this one might want to steal some cheese.
She's,
Mhm.
she will reach into her bag, and present the cheese to the small, uh, wombat creature with a bunny head
Yep.
and horns.
So as you present the cheese and kneel down, it puts its two paws on it, and as you're now closer and able to see a bit better with that distance, you realize that this creature seems to be made of soot and coal as it paws along the cheese and it's leaving little sooty print marks. And as it's sniffing around and kind of going from the cheese and looking back at you, Wisteria and Sister Primrose, you see more of them kind of nudging around about two others, looking around your own feet and kind of trying to sniff up towards your bags. As they all start making these motions, their ears all perk up, and I need all of you to give me a Constitution saving throw.
Look at that.
Critical success. Love it. Another one. Oh my god.
Oh my
For
goodness.
the
Um,
explosion of crits.
can I
I'll
can I ask though that you turn the glitter off because the confetti because it just nearly froze my entire browser.
will do. Um but for those double crits, I'll give everybody inspiration because why not just hand out inspiration? um So everybody passed. You do feel the sudden like wash of sleepiness come over you, and you sort of start to blink, but you very quickly shake it off. And with that moment, you hear the windows open up, and these three bunny like creatures start jumping away and heading out through the window.
Well, that's probably not good. We should probably, follow them and see what they're doing. Maybe warn somebody. That doesn't look normal.
Um, Billie Jean didn't crit, so I feel like y'all see Billie like her eyes start looping and she starts like almost leaning down like to put her hand on the bar. Um, I think before like I think Sister Primrose's voice sort of like snaps her out of it and says, oh,
Are
where
you
have
okay?
where have coal babies gone?
Out the window. They went out the window, and I think maybe you looked like you were falling asleep, and I felt sleepy too. And people probably shouldn't just be falling asleep wherever they are. I think you're right, Sister Primrose. We should go after them and see what's happening to keep people safe.
And maybe warn somebody if there's more of
Yes.
these that pop up. I
Mhm.
don't think I've ever seen them before, have I?
You can give me a history or a religion check. 14. Okay. With your charity work and knowing the Elder Heart Museum, you have heard various stories. Some of them fantastical in nature. You do know one story that is often told by one of the mythologists at the museum. Her name's Harriet. She's often told the story around glow time of when there is a disruption in the cheer of Glowtide, that sometimes this sleeping curse starts to erupt out and roll across um, the Humblewood. Um, so no one really knows the full story as to why, as it is a very broken history from oral traditions from way back in the early foundings of Elderheart. Um, but you have heard of similar creatures being described that can bring about a sleeping curse.
Well, that seems like a problem. If only I had sending prepared. I think Sister Primrose will find the nearest city guard or what the equivalent and tell them to send a message to the abbess of her church.
All right. So you need to leave the tavern space to go and look for somebody. And as you open up the door and step out, take a pause as there's just a series, like a river almost, of these black coal-like creatures bounding down the street. And they're all popping out of windows and doorways, just joining each other in a big crowd and going all the way down the street. As you try and look around, well, how do you feel about this? Seeing this scene as you see all these creatures jumping out and running away.
Kind of terrified because it went from 3 to a a whole bunch, which is never a good sign.
Well, they are adorable, but it is very interesting and concerning seeing such a large amount of them coming out of seemingly nowhere. Um, to find a guard, if you want to give me a quick perception check.
Uh,
All right.
you're asking for a perception check from one of us?
Yes, Sister Primrose was looking for a guard, but if anyone wants to also help in that search, you may also search.
Uh, yeah, I feel like the moment that Billie Jean heard curse, just a big frown like went over her face, um, and she just started like looking pretty on edge, like more on edge than probably y'all have seen her like since she got here. But she'll like go up to the window and just like try and find anything of note.
15. And does Wisteria wish to do anything in this moment as everyone's starting to look outside?
Um, I think Wisteria is still putting together what just happened in her head. It takes a second when there's a sudden change sometimes for her pigeon brain to catch up.
Beautiful. Um, so, Sister Primrose, with that 8 for your perception, the worry kind of sets in, and you're having a hard time now seeing in the dark space, having that sudden change from the bright lights of Glowtide to now this dim darkness. Billie Jean, you do catch sight of silhouettes of some guards where you recall where they are from before when entering this tavern. But they all seem to just be leaning up against their spears and not reacting to the scene.
Oh, everyone is sleeping. Um, the uh, the coal babies have said, what's his word? Uh, bedtime for everyone. There are
Well,
many. Uh, do we just go to sleep, listen to coal babies, or
I
do we do
don't think
something
so.
else?
I don't think so. Maybe we should go up to the abbey ourselves and ask the abbess what we're supposed to do.
Um,
I think that might finding someone who is awake would be very good, I think. And Wisteria just kind of going to look around. Doesn't seem to be anyone awake here, I don't believe. Our catfolk friend is sleeping.
Yes, they are very much knocked out, sound asleep, still in that folded kind of sitting stance that they were.
Okay. Um, yeah, I think we should definitely find someone who is not sleeping. This seems like a lot. This isn't you were right before, Sister Primrose. This is definitely not a Glowtide tradition, but a new thing happening for you, Billie Jean. That's fun too.
Um, yeah, like Billie Jean like does not like curses. The frown like has not like left her face. uh, so she's just like, um, as hears her name mentioned, like she pulls her gaze away from the outside, and says, "Let us go to Abby, if Abby is not infected with coal babies. Uh, we should not use main roads."
Yes, I know most of the back ways. Come on, come on.
So the three of you begin going to the streets and trying to avoid the paths of these creatures, and they all seem to be in just converging into the same street, no matter where they're coming from, and all going in the same direction, which is towards the northeastern gate. That, for those of you that know Elderheart, can pinpoint that. As you are darting around the streets and trying to avoid any major intersections or roads, you do hear off to the side, as you're starting around the more historical district, um, a woman's voice sort of echoes out and just says, "Oh, oh, oh my, oh my," and not in like a full distress, but almost a sort of excitement ring in her voice. And as you turn the corner, you see this Gallus bird. She is a rock. I hope I can say the name of this bird. Ptarmigan. Starts with a P. I don't think you say the P. Um, but she's all white feathers with some black specks and red crests along the top of her eyes, the blackened beak. She has half mooned or crescent eyeglasses on this little beaded string and is wearing a kind of a burgundy nightgown. And she has this minty green shawl that she's trying to throw over one of those cold creatures to try and catch it.
Does she succeed?
Let me see if she does. All right, so she goes, throws the shawl over, and I will roll again for the creature too. They can combat this. Okay, so she goes to throw her shawl over, and as she does, the creature leaps out of the way and is starting to bound in your direction.
This is the director of the museum?
Yes, as you, Sister Primrose, start to take in the visual and in the dim light, you do recognize this to be Harriet Crest, who is one of the museum workers and specializes in mythology.
Oh, Miss Crest, are you all right?
Oh yes, just stop it! Stop the city lope, please! Just oh,
Um, Honestly, I think Billie Jean's first reaction is to get out of the way of this thing. It's They mentioned a curse, and Billie Jean doesn't want to touch anything that'll get her cursed. Um, but I think that like upon hearing like, no, stop it from this person that like her friends are like okay with, she'll like try to catch it. I'll say at disadvantage though.
okay.
Because like in the middle of like rearing back, now trying to like reach back and catch. Uh,
All right, let me see if it can save against that. And it does so as you try almost reach out an extended way to grab at the creature. It does bound over just a full bunny leap up and over your outstretched arms and just sails over you.
Uh, she does a little shudder. Those things, they feel like bad news. But she turns back and sort of like, eh.
I think as it's sailing over, Wisteria heard this stop it and doesn't think she has any spells that can do that, but she does have a quarterstaff that she can try and knock it down with.
For
So
sure,
that's
go
what
for
she's
it.
going to attempt. I don't. How do I. Like this? Not like this. Like that? Yes.
Nice. So, in pure reaction, and I'll let you describe this as you see what you now heard Harriet say Sooty Lope start leaping over Billie Jean and in your direction.
Um, Wisteria doesn't really seem aware of what she's doing. She had been going to open her wings initially to try and like scare it off, but then in that motion, grabs the quarterstaff that's just at her side, usually as a walking stick, extends the wing and then baps it straight down into the ground, and gives a little startle backwards, like oh, oh, okay.
So
Pokes.
as you strike it down as just pure reaction, you see its body strike down, and then suddenly a puff of soot explode out around it, and all's left is this little carved coal shape of the little sooty creature.
um, I think that uh, Billy is going to like take out a cloth from her bag, like wrap it around her hand, pick up the the coal, and hold it up and say, "We have caught it. Uh, it is much smaller, but it is here."
I suppose that is one way to stop it.
Harriet begins waddling over, re-putting the shawl over her shoulders, just her glasses, like, oh, wonderful. This would be perfect for my research. Oh, I'm so glad we were able to stop that. And she holds out her hand to receive the now little coal. It's like, oh, we've had many stories about different creatures of fantastical things, but I'm so glad that I'm able to actually see one. Oh, um, you three seem distressed. Is this supposed to be distressing?
There's thousands of them, and they're putting everyone to sleep. So yes, I think so.
Oh, oh, yeah, that does sound like one of the possible stories. Ah, well, why don't we get you three out to the streets? Please come. And she starts gesturing over to where her open door is, which is a big kind of red circular door. And there's very, very faint light in it. But she does gesture you to come inside if you wish.
I will.
Um, yeah, Billy will as well.
Wisteria will follow, just checking out her quarterstaff. Like, is there soot on this now? And
Oh,
not
there
sure.
is.
Yeah.
There is definitely a burst of just where it struck underneath. There's like that burst of soot that's now kind of covering that edge.
Perfect. She's gonna try and like clean some of it off with her feathers, and it's like, oh, okay, okay, and then follow the others in.
So you enter through the door into the space, and it's a simple home that's sort of connected to the Eldahart Museum. You take in the wafting smell of herbal tea that was freshly brewed, and you see, even in the dimness of the space, there's just shelves of books, piles of papers on the little end tables, and beside the hearth, just a big kind of red, seemingly recycled comfy chair that Harriet starts shuffling over. And she kind of looks around like, "Oh, I don't get too many visitors, but feel free to find a stool or a box or floor space. The hearth is still a little warm, um, but let us get settled, and I think I can help figure this out. I can." Ooh, and she's very much in a fluster of thinking as you're watching her. And I think this might be a good time for us to take a quick break. So we're going to take 15 minutes. I would love to remind our beautiful audience as here watching this adventure went from wonderful, fun games and toys and joy tied to why is there a curse? um, Reminder to drop a follow and subscribe as it helps all of our storytellers and creatives on this channel. And we'll be back in 15 minutes to continue the story and see what Harriet may have to give our delightful cast here on what this may all be about. So, see you in 15. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you had a good break and you looked after yourselves. We now return to our darling little woodland creatures as they had just experienced a really weird and surreal event of these coal like critters called city lopes, nearly putting them to sleep and dashing away. And in their attempts to find someone else who is awake, they ran into Harriet, who was trying to catch one of these creatures. And they are now in her kind of home library, gathering around to see if they can figure out what is going on. But after being welcomed in, Harriet does offer her tea to you all. She's bringing out different teacups of various sizes and colors. She just has a mesh of sets, nothing really matching, but also somehow working as she brings forth all these different cups. You're like, don't know which size might be helpful. And as she's like laying them all out, you do see her mind kind of going and she's thinking and muttering, um, sort of jumping from one thought to another as she's processing what had just happened and is looking at the coal and then trying to pour the tea, but then looking back at the statued little coal.
Uh, it seems you know about coal babies. Uh, are they cursed? Uh, will they curse us? And how do we stop everyone else from being cursed? Because everyone in town is cursed.
Oh, yes. They are called city lopes from what the oral traditions say. And she starts like waddling around looking across her bookshelves. Like, they're not necessarily bad things, mm, almost fey in nature. And she's running her talons and feathers across books trying to look for something in particular. Um, they're more of just a reaction when something has gone wrong in the spirit of Glowtide, from what I remember.
When
What?
something goes wrong in the spirit of Glowtide?
Hmm. It could be. Where's that little book of mine? And she's searching and searching until she goes, oh, oh, and pulls out this very thin, worn, red leathered, binded book. It's only about like half an inch thick, but it has this bright, weathered leather cover. And as she turns it around and opens the book, you can see on the front cover in sort of gold embossed um, image, there is a wreath of holly and pine. And in the center, there's just a little silhouette um, of a cat like kind of a type of Lurin person, sort of a silhouette motif on there. There was a very, very old story, and there's many iterations on it. Um, some say there's a spirit that blesses the holiday and gives cheer and wonderment to those that believe in its very spirit and warmth and celebrate that. Um, but if it gets disrupted in any way, which nothing really says what it might be, but um, sometimes if it gets disrupted, that uh, these smoky, shadowy, sooty creatures will start popping out and stealing away the warmth and light as recompense against um, what has happened. Some say that might have been a curse that the god Kern decided to place upon the spirit, that if they were ever to be angered in any way, then they suffer from that consequence. Others say that it could just be a downed spirit harms that entity into summoning these creatures, but it's hard to say. And she just continues flipping through the book a little bit.
Um, that picture looks like something similar to a bell I found, and she'll pull out the golden bell.
Yeah. And as you pull it out, you do hear that ring once more. And in your hand, you feel almost the bell give a slight warmth. And Harriet, from the little or half circle glasses, her eyes pop open as she lifts her beak from the book. It's like, oh, that is quite a charming trinket. And then she closes the lid of the book and flips it around, and now showing it proper to you three. You see in the silhouette of this cat Ellerin person that there is a bell that sits off of their neck.
Okay, so the I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get it
No
get an
worries.
image. Um the in the book there is the same bell as uh our sister Primrose has.
From what you can
Okay.
tell, it looks pretty similar.
So
Um,
the cat lost their bell?
Oh, that might be the thing if everything's happening, and that does look like the bell on the cover.
uh, what does Bill do in story?
And she opens the book again and starts flipping through. There is one oral tradition that had said the god Adrea gifted a bell to an Lauren that was very gifting amongst the humble folk in Bramblewell, which for Wisteria and Sister Primrose, you both know, having been longtime Alderites, that Brimblewell is an old ruined city just outside in the north west of Elderheart, where the humble folk, during great terrible events, receded from and is now just current ruins. Um, but Harriet continues and she says, some say that Audra put a gift into the spell so that the Alurin could continue creating joy during this time of year. It's possible they might be the spirit that's connected to all this.
This seems to have given Wisteria like a lot to think about. And she looks unusually somber and just like staring down at the bell, like, oh, okay. Well, if it came from her and light and warmth is being taken and she gives us light and warmth, then maybe it isn't for other people to solve. Maybe we're supposed to do something to help. Sister Primrose, you do so much for the community. Maybe that's why the bell came to you. And maybe we're supposed to help you
With what?
with getting the sooty loops, getting the sooty loops away from here and waking people up so we can go back to Glowtide and fixing the spirit of it. If if there's something wrong with the spirit of Glowtide, I think we might be good people to try and bring that spirit back.
I mean,
She
of
doesn't look
course, but
very certain in what she's saying, um, but she's enthusiastic.
uh Primrose is sort of following. She's not the sharpest tool in the box, so she's sort of trying to follow the story. And like she looks decidedly like, how do you fix a spirit? But also very enthusiastic, with big smile on her face. Well, I'm sure we can do something. I don't know what, but we can do something.
Okay. Spirits are ghost, yes? We make Ghost in Bill happy. Uh, Everyone wakes up. How do we make Ghost happy?
Hmm. And Harriet flips through her book, considering things. Says, "Well, I do believe it is Wisteria. Yes, I've seen you around. Right. I do believe Wisteria may very well be on the right track. Um, it's possible if you follow where the city lopes are going, they may inadvertently show you where they came from."
Wisteria kind of looks down to her quarterstaff and all the suit there, and then looks down to all of their robes and clothing to go. I think we might get very sooty.
Well, what's a little soot in helping the city of Alderheart?
That's right, sister.
Um, how do we stay awake? Uh, there are many of them. In one place, we will be breathing a lot of sooty.
Hmm. Let me make a roll for our dear, dear Harriet. So Harriet kind of ponders and pecks at her beak.
All
And
right.
an inspiration just hits her mind. It's like, have they already tried to put you to sleep?
Yes,
Yes.
none of
All
us did.
right. So if they already tried, then it's possible you've already resisted any potential effects that those city lips may have on you.
Oh, so we are safe from curse now.
Yes.
That's wonderful news.
Um, yeah, like I think that Billie Jean is gonna be a little skeptical of that. Like, we resisted three of them when there were like three of us in one room. We're going into a place with thousands, possibly. Um, and she will be like, yes, well, maybe this is true. Uh, just in case. I wear a mask. Uh, and she reaches into her bag and pulls out like a ski mask. Um, and it, there are eye holes. There are it looks like something someone would use to maybe rob people traveling across the highway. Um, but she puts it on. And she has like two more for y'all if you want them. They are a little big for your head size.
They are a lot big for Sister Primrose. And Sister Primrose fully believes that Harriet is correct and that she will be absolutely fine. The power of her faith will get her through it.
Wisteria feels similarly because like it's Ardea and light. But if you want, I can ask if she'd be okay with me making your mask brighter, by which she'd cast light on your mask, so it would just emit light if Billie Jean wants.
Hilarious. Billie Jean's head will be a torch with which to guide our way. Perfect.
Beautiful.
Yes. Oh god. Uh yeah, we're not stealthing. That's for sure. Let's do it.
Perfect. So it'll just be the mask itself. So if at any point she takes it off, well, just a
Oh
little glowing
gosh.
mask.
Yeah, very glad the rogue is not here. I feel like there would be objections. Uh,
Yes, I'm sure
But it
Stick
also
will have
means
thoughts.
that those of us without dark vision won't be completely in the dark.
Hmm. Harriet gives an approving nod. It's like, best to keep your air passageways clear with round soot. You don't want to breathe that in. Um, but here, and she waddles around and disappears in sort of like a kitchenette space. Brings out some little like paper to go cups and starts pouring the tea from the teacups into there and tries to hand you each one. She's like, very important to keep warm and keep safe. Um, I know the city loops, from what the legends say, they're not harmful creatures. They're just reactive. Um, and as you see, a hit can poof, and her feathers kind of like spray out everywhere a little bit. Um, but the legends are incomplete, so you may discover some new things. And please, if you discover new things, come back and let me know. This is so exciting.
Sister Primrose sort of looks at her and sort of goes, I understand your excitement, but it is affecting everyone in Alderheart. I think that is important to remember.
Oh, yes, of course, of course, of course. And I fully believe in your capabilities. Since you are awake and standing and here, you got something on your side for sure. And she kind of gives like almost like a gleaming like look from behind her glasses. Um, but if you have any further questions, I'm happy to answer. But otherwise, I think all you have to do is look for the Black Sooty Trail.
Well, that should be easy enough. Shall we go?
Um, like I imagine she put the tea in a to-go cup, a to-go thermos. So she'll just like stand up uh wordlessly and make her way to the exit. Um, once like all of us get out of the house, she's gonna like turn to once we get out of the house and once the door closes. uh
Here it's just waving behind.
uh yeah, she's going to turn to her companions and say, she is very excited for town to be cursed. I do not trust it.
I don't. I, I think she's excited that something that she's only read about in books is actually happening. I think she means well.
Yeah, she gave us tea.
Uh, Billie Jean looks at the tea suspiciously, but like puts it in her bag. Uh, we will follow Black Soot and hope for best. Um, like her head is glowing. What color is her head glowing? I think the light spell lets you choose.
Yeah, it's still gonna be like a pale golden, like sunrisey kind type of light. Yeah, that golden hour light all the time.
Beautiful.
Uh, Primrose will make a move to like follow the Gerbine ways across the rooftops, and then as she's about to leap up, she sort of stops and turns and looks at Billie Jean and just sort of shakes her head. Goes, "Oh, I guess we can't take those. Um, I guess we just walk in the streets."
Yes, I am very heavy. I must be very careful on rooftops, otherwise I break them.
Yes, I remembered. I'm sorry. Let's go! And she's just like enthusiastically going.
Awesome. So as our trio venture on, very easy to find the main road once again, and you do see just like almost a black river of soot where the city loops have been bounding down the street. And as you go, you do catch those that were outside, either doing their um, Glowtide evening market shopping or viewing, or the guards that keep watch to make sure everyone is safe. They're all asleep in some position or another. Some of them a little awkwardly so we're just like, ugh, head arched all the way back and almost drool dripping out of their mouth. Um, and once in a while, you do see more sooty lopes start bounding out from other windows and doorways and darting down the path ahead of you. But as you start to go forward, you catch just down the road something much larger. And you see a very large, almost cat like creature, down quadrupedal on all fours, and it's sort of prowling across the path. It doesn't seem to be attacking the city lopes, though, as they bound by it.
Um, yeah, Billie Jean's in front, so I think she's going to like turn behind her and say, act natural. And she will just continue along like she belongs there, um, with a glowing head. Um, and we'll try to like adopt the movements of the sooty lopes. So if they're like scurrying, she'll like make her movements like more rabbit like or whatever. And she's trying to blend in.
Okay.
Do the movements of this cat remind us of like what we're accustomed to seeing, or is this more of a that's a cat and I'm a bird type of situation?
Well, I guess for Sister Primrose and Wisteria, have you ever left Elderheart at any point to venture into the woods?
Probably.
And probably not.
Um, so everyone can give me a nature check. Billie Jean at advantage, and then Wisteria at disadvantage. Ooh, all the crits today. Spirit of Glowtide is with us, apparently.
It is.
So for Wisteria and Sister Primrose, all that registers in your brain at this point is this cat-like creature would tower over you if you got right up to it. It's massive. For Billie Jean, you've seen a similar creature to this in the way it patterns its walks. You recognize it as what is called a forest prowler. It has a very kind of cougar cat-like features in its face, and it has little horns, but along their back is sort of this leafy foliage that covers their back. But as you're getting closer, trying to be subtle about your movements, you do take in that where the movements of this creature and its shape resembles the forest prowler, which you recognize as a dangerous creature. Um, as your light kind of starts reaching that dim edge, you notice that it is far more shadowy, and where the city lights have more of a solid body, this one seems to almost pause, kind of drape in a smoky mist as it prowls about. And you can see on the back of it, where it should be leafy foliage, is more like a pine needle that's sticking up all along the back of its spine.
So this is a soot transformed forest prowler. Um, and it looks like it is on watch. Uh, yeah, with a natural 20, I'm probably understanding this plan has very minimal chances for success that I'm trying right now. Um, so
I
I think
I will
that
sorry. I will point out that the moment Billie Jean told Sister Primrose to act natural, she would have stiffened up and is sort of walking around like a robot because she's like, I don't know what that means.
uh, word. I think that Billie Jean's gonna turn around as like the light reaches the outer like parts of the creature, and she begins to understand. Oh, this is trouble. She's going to turn and say, "No plan. No sneaking. Either running or fighting. Uh, what do we choose?"
But isn't the spirit we're looking for a cat?
Oh, is it? Like, does this look familiar to the creature we saw in the book?
So what you're looking at in the book, it was more like the cat folk Ellerin. It looked like it was an actual cat person.
Mhm.
This is more of the bestial cats that can be found in the wilds of Humblewood.
Um, yes, I do not think this is who we are looking for.
Again, on the being told to act natural, Wisteria was taking a page out of Billie Jean's book and so was also like swaying wings out from side to side to try and be a suit thing. And then on new plans, just wings flapping back in. Like, oh, we're running or fighting? I don't. Do we have to fight? We can. Do we think it has seen us?
Well, as you're starting to piece together what you want to do, you do hear almost a fiery, crispy, like cat hiss.
Hmm.
Just a really low tone as you turn and see that this creature, its spine is all arched and buckling up as it's taking a very defensive stance. And the city lopes are just running through and by its feet, going down the street.
Yeah,
Yes, I do think it has seen us.
I think it's seen us. Yes.
Um, I would like to use my Speech of the Ancient Beasts feature.
Ah,
I
okay.
don't know if that works, but beasts of size large or larger have a friendly disposition towards me unless I have attacked them.
All right.
And I
So
can be
you,
understood by any beast of large size or larger.
so as you start to use this speech of yours or try to reach out to it, and you do see its ears kind of curl back. And as you start making that connection, give me an insight check.
1 second.
Nice. Getting all the high rolls. Love it for you all. Um, so you start trying to make that connection. And first thing that comes to your mind as you do is this isn't a natural beast. Its origin is something else that isn't to nature here. But in its mannerisms, you can incite that it is being more defensive and starting to react as you guys are approaching, and not so much as it's going to straight out attack you. It's now just in that defensive stance.
Great cat! Please, we mean no harm. As she's like slowly edging closer with her hands fully out and her tail like stiff. Like the cat can't see it, but the other two can see her tail is stiff behind her with just the tip of it twitching a little bit in nervousness. But she's like very gently with like the best, like how you would approach a feral cat in real life, just with the most gentle vibes that she's trying to give across. We mean no harm. We're just trying to pass by. Would you please let us pass?
Let me see. So as you're talking to it, it does still keep its arch stance and is very much watching the three of you. And it starts to sort of do that kind of wildcat pacing back and forth. And if a citylope is starting to run by you, it takes a quick step, almost in a misty forward, to put a paw across the path between you and the citylope.
We don't wish them any harm. We're just trying to see where they're going. Is that okay?
You don't get so much as a verbal reply. But you do feel that there is a weird primal mentality in whatever this creature is. And it seems to just be on one thought track that it must keep protecting. So it just continues to prowl back and forth between you three and the path of the city lopes.
Um, okay. I'm going to back off now. And as she gets back to the other two, her tail is just swishing back and forth, and she's like, I think we may have to take another road, because if we go any further up this one, it's going to attack us. It's trying to protect the sooty loop thingies.
Um, like, um, yeah, I think that Billie Jean is gonna respond. This is guard cats. Uh, Whoever is in charge of guard cat places guard cats all around. Uh, at least this is how it works back home. Uh, we do not leave easy access for things we try to protect. We will find more, I believe, unless we are sneaky.
Wisteria, since you haven't engaged quite yet, I'd like a perception check from you.
Sure. Yeah, it's a solid 5.
There it is. So I'll let you describe what it is that's just now centering you and not being out and looking out in the space.
Yeah, I think it's she's never left the Alderheart before, so has never seen a creature like this, and really doesn't know what's going on. And following the Sooty loops, that sounded like a good plan. And getting the spirit of Glowtide back, that's a great plan. But I don't think she was expecting something that feels dangerous in a way she doesn't know how to pinpoint. Um, and I think that's what's kind of on her mind right now. And she doesn't know if it would be better to try and go forward because for a second there, taking another path sounded like a good idea. Like, okay, we have a solution. But then what Billie Jean said makes a lot of sense. So are they going to have to fight this thing? And she's looking at this giant cat. It's like, I don't, that isn't feeling great about this outcome and is trying to think of ways that they would be able to sneak, knowing that she does have some magic that helps in darker places. Um, that's where she's at right now. Um, if it didn't, if if it couldn't see us, would that help?
Uh, you cannot stop what you cannot see.
Okay, okay. I might be able to help a little bit if we want to go by, but we don't want to fight it. Um, how big is the space that we're looking at trying to get across?
So it's a mainway street, so it's about maybe 15 to 20 feet wide. And
Okay,
with it in the trunk, and you're leading down towards like the base of Eldahart to get out of the city, from what you can see the path going. So you got like the side all kind of arching up, and it reaches about like 70, 80 feet high before the ceiling of within the tree caps.
okay. Um, and okay. Um, I'm going to make it dark where the cat is, but we'll be okay. And there's going to be really pretty stars. And this is something I was working on for Glowtide later, and it's almost perfect. So this is just going to be a practice. It's going to be a practice. But we can do that, and then I think we'll be able to sneak through really quietly. And maybe we should take the mask off just for now, or put one of the non-bright ones on.
Oh, masks. She forgot she was wearing it. Takes it off, switches it with another non-glowy masks.
Perfect. And Wisteria will cast Globe of Twilight um, over by the cat.
All right, beautiful. So, make a wisdom saving throw for our creature. All right. I will feel that. So you go and cast your spell. And would you like to describe how you cast the spell and what it looks like?
Um, yeah, so I think. Oh, 1 second. What is this? Yeah, normally there would be a lot of flourishing to Wisteria's magic because there is an element of it that is for show. But in this case, she thinks it's a better idea not to draw attention. So she goes to make her big wing flourishes and then catches herself and makes smaller movements. And it's like, okay. Um, under the starry sky at night, darkness, grant us passage in this night. And then this globe of twilight appears around the cat, and then within twinkling are stars, and they're constellations that are recognizable to Sister Primrose as being the symbols of the various pantheon that they believe in, generally in Alderheart. But again, instead of being silver, it's still with that warm golden glow that's signature to her magic. Yeah.
Right. Beautiful. So as you send out your spell, um, with it, you are still able to see the creature within that globe. It just is more obscured from obscured from it. So as the spell lets loose, it does do a bit of a jump, and that kind of almost Halloween cat stance as its tail gets solid and bristles. And now you can clearly see within the soft illumination of it just how pitch dark the shape of this creature is, and just the little wisps of smoke that trail off it. But the slight kind of sheen that Cole gets is glistening off its body as it's sort of reacting, and its eyes going big as it's starting to look up at the different starlight patterns that are all around it.
Um, I think this is the first time Billie Jean has seen the sky in like all year, uh, and um, like it brings a tear to her eye. And she's like sort of like standing there shocked for a moment before she realizes, oh, the cat doesn't seem to be focused on us anymore. Um, and sort of like shakes her head and says, is it time to be sneaky?
Yes, it's sneaky time. And I think Wisteria also kind of just like looks at Billie Jean out of the corner of her eye. Um, I don't know if Wisteria is aware of the importance of seeing this guy to Billie Jean, but do think that it would have been part of a like, this is a later Glowtide gift for you that wasn't supposed to be shown now, but it seems really useful now, so here we are.
Love it. All right. Well, if you're all going to be sneaking at this point, I need a group stealth check.
Do we get advantage because he's stuck in a globe of darkness and stars?
I'll say because of other things going on. Hmm. You know what? It's enough of a distraction for other things, so sure, you can have advantage.
I just had to ask.
Yep. Wow. How many crits this night? I'm gonna have to comment after. Could this be the
Oh
most
boy.
crits in a single Girls Runs These Worlds game?
And I normally have such bad luck in online dice rollers, so this is making me pretty happy.
Happy season greetings. Um, so you all collectively, silently, stealthily tell me how it is, what stances you take, and how you make sure your group stays stealthy as you maneuver around in this space.
So I think being the most familiar with all the little, side passages and dark spots, and because, being a very tiny mouse in a very big city with pretty much everything being bigger than you learn how to sort of dart in and out and around and figure out how to move around a space without knocking into anything or getting like off course or anything like that. So I think since I rolled a crit, I think Primrose will be sort of dipping back into her little mouseling days of like darting around a crowd and pointing out to um Wisteria and Billie Jean like, don't step there, that's a loose rock, or like, don't go that way, or here's a little alcove you can hide in while we make the next move, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Um, I think that for Billie Jean, she's got her bandit mask on. She is under the stars. For a second, she smells the fresh air. She like um, hears like um, a signal of an owl hooting, which is actually like another member whistling, signaling, make your way. And I think she just gets lost in the revelry a little bit, lost in memory, and is just like acting on instinct and remembering pretty well.
And on Wisteria's end, I think Sister Primrose's pointing of things out is very helpful um, because her being silent is very much trying to make sure that her little claws don't click. So it's that little bit of a comical footstepping, like eh, eh, as she plods forward. And for her, it's recalling sneaking out from the trunk when she was younger to try and get her hands on some magic books. Because who doesn't want to read about all the fun things when you should be sleeping? Um, and that's a much more comforting memory than the present situation. So she's holding on to that to kind of give her courage to go forward.
All right. Beautiful. Love this scene setup. So you all gather up with Primrose, bringing you all into the past that she very much remembers. And as you're moving about, you do hear the cat creature in that globe of twilight kind of chitter out a sound like, and from the rooftops above, you hear a call back in similar fashion as another shadow cat kind of leaps down and starts uh, bounding towards where that other cat is. But you seem to be completely stealthed and you are super confident in this ability that you have all gained and shared as you maneuver through the alleyways and find the roundabout way to get back to the path where you're going. And at this point along the journey, Primrose, in your mind, knowing the Elderheart streets so well, you do know where that main street goes. So it's very easy for you to drag the group along through those passages in parallel to it. You all come back out to the main street where it comes to one of the bastion gates. And this gate isn't used too often. From the memory of Primrose and Wisteria, this leads out to the ruins of Bramblewell. Um, and for the most case, through history since the depilation of it, it's kind of been left alone, and not many folk go into there as bandits and other sort of crime revelry take sometimes unsavory deals out there so they don't get caught by the guards. And you do see on either sides of the gates guards with their halberds up, but they're knocked purely asleep standing on their feet against their halberds. But the gate is there closed in front of you, and you do see the path of soot leading across and through and heading into the snow blanket beyond.
Um, do we know how to open the gate?
And looking over it, you don't see that there's any lock or anything. It's more of it can open. The guards usually do just to make sure they can check on folk that come in and out. But there doesn't seem to be anything keeping it locked.
Um, I think Billie Jean will start towards the gate and start opening it up, whether it's a pulley system or just like grabbing it and opening it up.
Okay. Just give me a quick strength check.
And you can have some guidance on that. You can add a d4.
Okay.
Let's go.
Um, would my skill in athletics be applicable here?
Sure, let's go for it.
Hey, thank you. um, all right, here we are. Normal roll. And then we add, oh shoot. Yeah, let's add a d4. Roll 1d4. Eh,
13. Okay.
13.
It's not a particularly hard check because the guards do open it themselves, though. Usually they have two people. So it takes you a little bit, and the slow pushing, you hear the loud creaking echoing out into the night and through the trunk of the tree. But you do eventually get it open enough so that the largest of the group, which I believe is Billie Jean, to be able to slip through.
As that gate's opening, I think Wisteria is looking back over her shoulder towards the trunk. Like, I don't even think she's been outside of this gate, so this is definitely new. And just that little bit of uncertainty of stepping into someplace new, especially in the circumstances they're in, but also knowing that this is what they have to do and this is the right thing to do. And they're going to bring back the spirit of Glowtide. And everything's going to be wonderful, but maybe it's a little bit scary right now, too. We'll look to her companions, be like, okay, are, are we ready?
Do not be nervous. Ghosts are much nicer than curses. We can figure this out.
Sister Primrose, being a mouse, is definitely scared, but having two of her friends right next to her gives her the bravado and the heart she needs to just keep going, because with her friends by her side and with the goal in mind of saving Alderheart from a sleeping curse, she has the strength to keep going.
Lovely. And as you settle into those thoughts, you do hear just the ever so soft ringing of that bell as you pass through the threshold and heading into the dark winter landscape beyond the gate. And looking back up at the great ever tree that houses Elderheart, you do see almost in a gradation of lights slowly dissipating bit by bit, going all the way up to the canopy until it basically disappears out of your sight as you enter into the wooded forest. And just beyond, um, as your eyes adjust, you do see old stone, kind of wavy, crinkle walls of what is was once a brilliant little humble folk city that once stood in this area. And you see just the darkened path in the snow leading into the labyrinth of it.
Well, shall we?
Um, yeah, I think Billie Jean will ask, like, if we want to be stealthy here or if we want to, like, be able to see in this labyrinth.
Um, I'm not I'm not sure. I think being able to see is it's good to know where you're going. And we have to follow a path. And if we can't see the path, how are we going to follow it? Um, I think that might be better, but I feel like you both might know more about this than I do.
Well, I can't see in the dark at all, so I would like some light. Or I might just trip over my own feet.
Uh, Billie Jean reaches into her bag and takes out the bright ski mask, and the way is clear. Or I hope it is. DM, is the way clear?
As you put on the mask, yes, you don't see anything beyond just that track of soot making a river into these ruins of the old city. And as you kind of take in your surroundings, seeing the light bounce off of snow and ice and stone, and feeling the cold winter air chill through your feathers and fur, I think this is a perfect place for us to end our part one of our little story here.
Yay.
So, yay, good job, everybody.
Yay!
Avoided the big encounter.
We didn't have
Yeah.
to fight a cat. Um,
No. No, did
that-
not have to fight the
No,
scary cat.
we are but small.
everybody's
Yes,
at
we
full
are.
hit points. We're doing the smart thing.
Oh,
That
so
spell,
smart.
so cool.
Yes.
Let
You're
me.
really cool. Yeah.
I'm so glad.
So with that, why don't we all do the outros in the order that we did it before? So I believe I started with you, Moira.
I know words. Hi, once again. I'm Loira and use she, they pronouns. And thank you so much for being here. I was playing Wisteria, a celestial warlock whose patron is Ardea. If you want to find me elsewhere, I am at Miss Winford. That is MS_Winford on Twitter and Twitch and sort of Instagram as well. And thanks for being here. This was super fun.
Hey, that means I'm next. Hi, everybody. Anita here. You have just seen me play Billie Jean, the uh, goat caravan, servant, I don't know, lady. Uh, she has a dark past full of crime, and we love her. Um, but yes, find me here in like 3.5 hours. And you can watch me lead a coven full of siblings towards revenge for the death of their adoptive mother slash elder witch of the world. Uh, Feelings, angst. Um, you don't want to miss it. But yeah, I think that's all for me. Add Anita the lesbian on the Twitters and the TikToks. Uh, I'll pass it on. Nev.
Yeah, hi, I'm the Never Squid. You can call me Nev. I am at the Never Squid on all the social medias. I use she, they pronouns. I have been playing Sister Primrose, a golden dormouse, hazel dormouse, with a big fluffy tail. And she's very small, and I love her. And she's a life cleric in the Abbey of the Alder Heart. And uh, I'm on words. Yes, I'm on this channel as a producer and as a player. I'm in this game and also will be in a winter one shot on the 18th. I am also on Alec Azam's channel every other Tuesday for Squid Menace. No, I'm not the menace, I promise. Um yeah, that's it, I think.
All right, awesome. And everyone, I'm Natalie. I've been use she, they pronouns, and I've been your dungeon mistress for this part one of a three-part adventure. And some reminders for our wonderful, beautiful audience that are present. If you have your own stories that you wish to tell with Girls Runs These Worlds, you can check out the pinned tweet at Girls Runs These Worlds on Twitter. App is always open, so feel free to pitch your story. We love it. We love you. We want it. Bring it in. And also remember, if you want to support all of our storytellers and creators on this channel, to subscribe and follow here on Twitch. There is also a Ko-Fi if you want to just toss a quick buck there. It all helps the incredible cast and team across all of our shows that we have here on Girls Runs These Worlds, the now award-winning channel of tabletop RPG. And as for our upcoming shows, as Anita said, you got to come back later for their Invincible Sword Coven and watch how that story plays out. We have more adventures where Friday evening, Dead Man Switch, a Starfinder adventure with Aubrey. Saturday afternoon, Monster Care Squad, Channel Council, Angela running that. We're going to be having more stuff Monday. Regency Remix, facilitated by Anne, and followed by more Monster of the Week, The Arcane Corpse by Say Day, and Spy.eu on Tuesday evening with Glazia, and then Roll for Luck Wednesday with Ryu, and then just come back for us same time on Thursday next week. We do a lot here, and it's amazing. And be on the lookout for our casting calls too. If you follow us on Twitter, you'll see it. We got Dragon Age, End of Love with DM Baba Yaga. How if you're a Dragon Age fan, come on, just apply, do it. And of course, all these DMs and game masters are beautiful, lovely people that tell amazing stories, and we'd love to have you a part of it. Um, Otherwise, we are going into a raid, I believe. So hang around to raid our next channel as we go. And of course, love everybody. See you next time.
Bye bye.